Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. The mention of Yad Vashem brings back memories of a visit that my wife and I made to Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, and all of the emotions that go with that. And I'd like to thank my colleague Jackson Carlaw for not only securing this debate and giving an excellent speech, but also for all of his work over so many years as a champion for the Scottish Jewish community. And before I begin, I'd also, Deputy Presiding Officer, declare my interest as a member of the Board of Trustees of Freedom Declared Foundation, a charity which aims to promote freedom of religion or belief within the United Kingdom. Because, like other members who are present in the chamber right now, I'm a member of a religious minority myself, which has seen a long history of persecution and misrepresentation. And it's maybe because of that religious heritage that I feel acutely aware of the dangers of marginalising and othering people because of their faith, resulting in my own personal sense of mission to call out religious persecution in all its guises. The Holocaust remains one of the most horrific examples of religious persecution the world has ever seen, and it is right that we have a specific day in the calendar to remember it. When reflecting... Yes, of course.
Jeremy Balfour.
I'm grateful to remember. Would you agree with me that one of the positive ways that we can remember the Holocaust is that for all members and for all political parties to endorse the IHR definition of anti-Semitism? And until all parties in Scotland do that, there is always going to be a black mark against us.
Mr Kerr, I can give you the time back.
Thank you to my colleague Jeremy Balfour for that intervention. Yeah, I do find it regrettable and almost beyond belief that the First Minister has invited 2 ministers into her government who have refused to sign the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism. I hope, given the fact the First Minister stayed for the very first part of this debate, that she might reflect on that as a result of this debate. I was saying that when reflecting on the horrors of the Holocaust, I'm always brought back to the words of the renowned BBC journalist Richard Dimbleby, reporting what he experienced on entering the concentration camp at Bergen-Belsen as it was liberated by British soldiers. A report so graphic and so distressing that the BBC initially contemplated not broadcasting it as he had sent it. Dimbleby said, "In the shade of some trees lay a great collection of bodies. I walked about them trying to count. There were perhaps 150 of them flung down on each other, all naked, all so thin that their yellow skin glistened like stretched rubber on their bones. Some of the poor, starved creatures whose bodies were there looked so utterly unreal and inhuman that I could have imagined that they never lived at all." This is just a glimpse into the horror that Richard Dimbleby witnessed and reported on. And for any member who has not listened to Richard Dimbleby in his own words and in his own voice make that report, I urge them to listen to it on the BBC website as part of their commemoration of today. A question that I often ask myself, as others have posed in this debate, is what lessons have we as humanity really learned from this destruction? If we had truly learned, would we have seen the genocides at Darfur or Bosnia or Rwanda? If we had truly learned, would we see the current situation in China? Last December, the Uyghur Tribunal in London concluded that the People's Republic of China had committed genocide, crimes against humanity and torture against Uyghurs and other minorities. The tribunal found evidence of enforced abortions, the removal of the wombs of women against their will, the killing of babies immediately after birth, and mass sterilisation enforced through the insertion of IUD devices which were removable by surgical means only. To honour the memory of the Holocaust, we must stand up for the Uyghurs and other minorities in China and elsewhere. And while it's right to call out religious persecution overseas, we also have a responsibility to ensure that every member of the Scottish population feels welcome in Scotland, regardless of their faith or belief. It's too easy for insults to become intolerance, for misunderstanding to become misrepresentation, and for principle to become prejudice. We must be on our guard. Deputy Presiding Officer, to conclude, it is my hope that Scotland, alongside the rest of our United Kingdom, will be a world leader in stopping the spread of ideologies that promote hatred and division. It is unacceptable to marginalise people because of their faith or belief, race, ethnicity, sex or sexuality. One day, may we collectively, as a human race, recognise in one another a brother and a sister, and treat each other as such.